This is ESPR Boxing. Delighted as always to be joined by Paul Kelly. This is a weigh-in reaction video to Mauricio Lara and Lee Wood. Paul, thanks for joining me. Been a busy week. We're nearly at fight night, but yeah, interested to get your reaction to this weigh-in. As I'm sure a lot of people have probably heard, Lara didn't make weight. He missed kind of a check-in weight earlier this week and was told he could come in between 128.5 pounds and 130 pounds. He's come in at 129.8 pounds, so within that limit, but nearly 4 pounds over the featherweight limit, whereas Lee Wood has come in inside the championship weight. Paul, just your reaction first of all to Lara missing weight. He's missed weight, but at the end of the day, he's missed weight by nearly 4 pounds. Yeah, just your thoughts on that.
It's him missing weight. It's a complete failed attempt to make weight. I think there's a kind of sometimes a difference. Like, I understand if a fighter maybe just misses weight by, half a pound even. Yeah, I'll give you a pound and a half. But like, if you're missing weight by almost 4 pounds, to me, you've just done something completely wrong throughout your camp. You haven't done anything right in terms of trying to make the weight. Like, do you know what I mean? You're a professional. Yes, I understand he's still only 25 and he's a growing man. He's probably still growing at 25 years old. But at the same time, you're a professional. You've literally just won the belt. You've just became world champion. And now you're making the first defense. A lot of people think you're going to win the fight. You're a big favorite. And then you can't even win the belt anymore because you can't even defend the belt anymore because you failed to make weight. It's a bit of a disgrace in my opinion, but there's probably stuff that we don't know about, obviously. But yeah, I'm disappointed that he hasn't made weight, but I'm also delighted for Lee Wood that he did, and he can still obviously win his belt back.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I thought there's a lot to digest here. Like going back to Lee Wood, I thought Lee Wood, look, he looked tight at the weigh-in back in February. I thought he looked more tight today, to be honest. So it's just a shame when you've got one guy who has made weight again. Lee Wood's 34, I believe. It must be really difficult for him to make featherweight, but he has managed to do it. And then Lara, I don't know about you, but I was waiting to be kind of shocked by his appearance, and he didn't kind of look as bad as I thought he would do. Personally, I'm not saying he looked kind of healthy or well, but I thought I was expecting him to maybe look a lot worse, and it kind of felt like he was given this extension of a weight, and could weigh up to 130 pounds, and he's weighed in what 2 ounces under that, so he's just made that weight really. What are your thoughts on just both appearances of both fighters, Paul?
Yeah, I think you're right, but I think you're right with what you say about Lee Wood. I think, as you said, at 34 years old, it's going to be tight for him to make 126 pounds. You know what I mean? Weighing in at 9 stone when you're in your mid 30s, no, thank you. I don't think either me or you. Maybe be our left leg study or something. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
but no, fair play to Lee Wood. He's a diligent professional. He's been making featherweight his whole life too.
Mm.
Over a decade he's been weighing into that, and fair play to him. It shows you the kind of the champion and the real. He's a credit to himself in that sense. But I don't think he looked brilliant. I agree with what you said. Back in February, he looked a bit gone. Whether you read into it or not, he's reaching straight for the water. He did the same again today. Depends if you read much into that. But yeah, it's definitely a struggle for Lee Wood to make weight, but he's done it at the end of the day. He can rehydrate now. Lara, I completely concur with what you've said there. I was expecting him because it's been a whole big thing that everyone had been saying in Fight Week. He was looking a bit bigger and was really struggling to make the weight. I thought he would have looked absolutely dreadful, like almost as if he's like, I've tried my best to make the weight, and I can't physically get anything more off. There's no water in me to even get out of my system as well. But I agree with what you've said there. I think he's probably been given this 128 and a half to 130 pounds, and he's thinking, oh, that's sound then. I'll just weigh in that. Who cares about the belt? I'll win one up at super featherweight next time or something like that. And yeah, I was expecting him to look a lot worse, but he didn't. He looked dead on. His face wasn't too drawn or anything like that. But yeah,
Mm.
it's interesting. It is very interesting. I don't know where my head is at after the weigh-in in terms of who it favors more. I really don't know. But yeah, think that Wood definitely didn't look as good as Lara, but then that's because Wood actually made it.
Yeah, no, you're right. It feels a bit. it feels a bit unfair because it is so much weight. As you mentioned, if it was a pound, then I don't think we'd really need to have this discussion as much. But because it's nearly 4, there are weight classes for a reason. Lara, look, he's coming at super, he has come in at super featherweight. If he weighed a little bit more than he did today, he wouldn't even be making super featherweights. So yeah, not a great situation. I know Ben Davidson's made some comments about doubting whether the fight goes ahead tomorrow night, and I can understand why, to be honest. He's got his fight today who's made weight. I'm sure he struggled to make weight. Going up against a big puncher who's coming in 4 pounds heavier. Just your thoughts on the possibility. I mean, we'll see how this situation develops in the next minutes and hours, but yeah, just your thoughts on the fight possibly not even going ahead tomorrow night, Paul.
No, I'd be gutted. I would be really gutted. More especially, obviously, for Lee Wood. I'd be gutted because he's done everything right. He's jumped straight back in there, taking the risk to go in against, the most fearsome puncher in the division. Um, a lot of people thought he's gonna get knocked out again, and fair play to him. He's just kind of jumped in there that. But if the fight, he's made the weight. He's gone through the whole training camp, and if the fight was to be called off now, I'd be pretty gutted for Lee Wood, to be
Yeah,
honest. I mean, I think it would mean that. I mean, for me, if you're calling that off, does the event get called off?
good
Because
question.
like that, a lot riding on that main event there. Do you know what I mean? Well, who
Yeah.
else have you got? You've got Jack Catterall obviously on the card, but apart from that, there's no other massive names.
No, if we're being honest, there's no, like, Terry Harper's defending a world title, a couple of good young fights on the undercard, but no, there's not a main event. If we're being honest, Jack Catterall against Derek Foley is not a main event for the MEN arena. If we're being honest, okay, we're just going to wrap things up, Paul. I know you've backed Lee Woods all the way. I expect you still to do so. However, take into consideration this whole weight situation. Give us your final prediction ahead of tomorrow night.
Yeah, say the fight goes ahead. Still think that I still think Lee Wood wins, and the way I think he wins is I said to you yesterday that I was leaning towards maybe points, but today I'm thinking, you know what, he actually is going to stop him later on. I think last time, if he just does what he did last time, outboxing Lara, but just difference is stay switched on this time. I could see around 8, 9, 10, 11, or even 12 again. Let's say the last few rounds. We all know Lee Wood loves a 12th round knockout, so yeah, why not another 12th round knockout just like he did against Kanji and Michael Condon?
Fantastic. I would love to agree with you. If it kind of depends what's happened with Lara. If Lara's just kind of really struggled to make weight and he's not going to be, it's such a tricky one because he's not made weight, but yet he's kind of come in how he's wanted to. So it is a really difficult one to predict. But I still think Lara in the mid rounds would be my prediction. But it depends if Lara's kind of carrying an injury. That could play against him. If Lara's kind of actually still lost a shitload of weight in the last few days, that could take its toll. That could take its toll with him if it goes into those later rounds. I actually think Lee Wood late stoppage is a good shout by you, by the way. However, my final prediction is Lara round 6. I'm gonna go for. Paul, thank you for joining me as well. Been great to talk to you throughout fight week. And yeah, enjoy the fights tomorrow night, and I'll speak to you again soon.
Yeah, cheers, mate. All the best.